Well, Michael, we didn't think we could miss the chance to reunite you with a couple of your favourite faces from Formula One. Nice to see them, eh?
Absolutely.
David Coulthard and Eddie Jordan, of course, were a big part of your career in F1. We know what they're doing these days, spending a lot of time with us on the BBC. Just explain how you fill your time at the races, because we often see you standing on the pit wall. You've been watching the weather very carefully this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I come occasionally to races that we agree upon, where we see some need for me to be along. Otherwise, I have quite a few other jobs in terms of the Make Road Safe campaign and Bacardi ambassador. And being family father, that's a time-filling job as well.
So we sit here in 2009, and it was 1991 that you made your debut in Formula One, and of course that was with Eddie Jordan. What are your memories of the first time that you met up with Eddie, took a look at the car, had a little bike ride around Spa to get used to the circuit?
You sure you want to hear that?
Oh, I'm sure we would love to hear that. Eddie's going to be over there saying, don't say that, don't say that.
Yeah.
Michael, please, I put you on trust here that nothing should pass your lips at this moment.
Which part you want to know, the good one or the other one?
Well, Michael, I think we should start at the beginning. What do you think?
No, I mean, the beginning actually was very exciting, because we've been in contact for a little while. Mainly it was Willie at the time being in contact with Eddie. And when the thing happened with Brawn, the poor guy, and the seat was available, I mean, I was thrilled to get this opportunity. Naturally, I didn't really dream much about Formula One, because at that days it seemed too far away, and neither I had thought of stepping into a car that was so far up front. And thanks to Willie, that made it clear to Eddie that I knew the circuit pretty well, which was not really the case. Eddie trusted ourselves, and
Was that a white lie we heard there?
So you're saying you started your F1 career with a little white lie to the team owner. That's what got you in, that little foot in the door?
kind of, yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, he was really very honest, because the stupid question I asked was, do you know Spa? Now, to any racing driver, you say, well, do you know it as a racing? But he answered correctly. He said, yes, I do know Spa.
But you didn't ask the question to me, actually.
Yeah, but
you asked it to Willie.
I asked anyway. I was probably you're going to blame Willie, and I'll blame myself. So anyway, you're blameless. Don't worry.
And you then sort of jumped on your bike, did you, and have a little cycle around to remind yourself of the
obviously I should know really the geographic of the track a little bit, and.
But then you put in a great qualifying performance. So when that happened, when you jumped in the car, I think you qualified 7th, something like that. Did you actually think, hold on a minute? You mentioned you thought Formula 1 was a long way away. Did you suddenly feel like you belonged at the very pinnacle of motorsport?
I mean, the biggest shock I had actually in the first 2 laps, an installation lap that I did on the South Circuit in Silverstone, in his car. I went in and I thought, that's too much. I can't handle that.
What, too fast for you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, this was my first thought. And then after kind of, I came in, we made the check of the car, and going out the second time, then I sort of started to get comfortable into the car. And from there on, yeah, it was, I mean, you always feel according to your times and your opponents. And my situation was pretty clear from early moment on, being next to the Cesaris and matching his times kind of. I felt, well, it looks like I'm doing a reasonable job, but nobody knew and nobody was able to anticipate how well it would go through the weekend itself. And I have to say that the car, I mean, was astonishing. I mean, I think it was, with this car, if you would have done the race all the way through, I'm pretty sure we would have ended up on the podium, because it was just a more amazing car I had in my hands.
Is that a common feeling for drivers when they first get the chance in a Formula 1 car, that they think, this is actually too fast for me? Because these days, the young lads, they turn up, it's almost like they were born to drive in Formula 1. They don't seem to think the speed's an issue at all, the likes of Buemi.
Yeah, well, my first chance came at the South Circuit as well, when I was 19 in the McLaren, but it was a wet day, so really that takes away a lot of the speed, so I never had that sensation. And then by the time I eventually started in Formula 1, I'd been a test driver for 2 years, so a little bit different for you. You were racing in sports cars at that time. But just coming back to Spa, obviously that's where your debut was. It was also where we had the incident where you tried to mate a Ferrari with the McLaren, and God knows what sort of baby cars that would have made. I seem to think, remember,
I felt
I was
overweight, so, and I thought I have enough margin, maybe I can do it on 3 wheels. No, but I mean, we all know, and I guess you as well a little bit more now, because if you drive in this condition, you sort of see nothing. Following cars behind. I had another accident, I think a year later, even in Spa, with one other guy in free practice, I think. It was basically the same story. Somebody lifted off in order to do whatever, and you have no chance. I mean, you have no feeling of distance, and you don't know where is the guy precisely, and then things like this do happen.
But at the time, you were certain that David Coulthard and not Michael Schumacher was responsible for the accident, weren't you?
I'm actually pretty sure I'm still under this feeling that he's responsible for it. At the time, I actually felt a little bit more, because naturally I was fighting the championship against McLaren, against Mika at the time mainly, and then you're going to lap the second car of McLaren that happens to be in this circumstance, so in your mind initially goes through very strange things, which I do want to apologize for now, because I know from David that it was not the case. It was just an unfortunate circumstance, but we clarified that some time ago.
I was just impressed that you thought I was that good, that I'd be able to drive watching out the front and drive watching my mirrors for you coming. You know, I never had that much spare capacity, but obviously at the time you were giving me more credit than I deserved.
Well, I mean, for me it was normal to look both directions. So anyway, it is what does happen. Unfortunate circumstance, they always appear one or the other day, and that's the way it is. I mean, it's motor racing.
But just to clarify, 11 years later, you are still to blame for that accident in Michael's eyes.
I'll take it. I'll take the blame.
I think it's worth mentioning that I have to say thank you to both of them, because guess who nipped in to win the race, luckily enough, was
Jordan, of course.
It was Damon Hill. And your own brother finished second that day. And we had a few words about that, but I still believe we were right at the time. But we won't talk about Ralph. Ralph was unbelievably quick that day and possibly should have won the race. But there were, in those days, team orders, as you will recall. And so you made it possible for us to get our 1-2, for which I'm enormously grateful.
Yeah, it was a little give back for the opportunity you gave to me, obviously, some earlier days.